Stealing Focus!
Hi everybody, I'm Emily Clark.
And I'm Jeff Scott Carey.
And this is another episode, another vlog of Stealing Focus Real Thoughts.
Yes.
Where we talk about something musical theater related that just happened on TV and film, and we want to get our thoughts out right now. And we literally just finished watching
Jesus Christ Superstar.
live!
Wow!
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, so we just, we wanted to talk about it right away because we have a lot of thoughts.
Yes.
So before we get into any of that stuff, Jeff over here has a strong connection to this show, right?
Yes, I do. I mean, I've done the show a couple times. I've known it forever, which is interesting, like seeing a version like this because I know every word of the show.
Yeah.
So for me...
So he's a Jesus Christ Superstar fan.
Yeah.
And aficionado, someone who knows the show very well.
Yeah.
I am not. So we're both coming at this from opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to JCS Superstar fandom.
Right.
That was redundant. Anyway, I think that it's safe to say that we both enjoyed it.
Yeah. And the show itself is very, it's very stylistic. It's obviously it's basically a rock opera.
I mean, it was
concert.
a concept. The idea was, Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice wrote it. Andrew Lloyd Webber doesn't write lyrics; he only writes music. So he wrote the music. Tim Rice wrote the lyrics, and they were like in their 20s.
Right.
And they wrote this concept album, this rock concept album in the late 70s.
Yeah, it was 71, I think. So they probably.
That's not late. That's early 70s.
Did you say late 70s?
Yeah, 71 feels really
no, it was.
early.
It was early. It was 71.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
We'll fact check that.
We'll fact check that. But they were really young. I have problems with the text, with the show, with the piece as a whole. But I thought that what they did with it tonight was really good. I thought it was definitely the best live musical of this batch, of this trend of the live musicals that have been happening. I definitely think it's the best. I thought they did it the right way by keeping it a concert, because when people try to stage it and give it try to give it structure, it doesn't work. It has the structure. It's the Bible. Which book is it?
This is a rock opera, so it's very, it's
not even, I guess it is an opera because there's no dialogue.
It's kind of in its own genre for me, where like this type of show is, I look at it as a work of art, not necessarily a musical, not necessarily a film, like the film version. I think the film version was 73, so it had, the concept album had to have been before that, I think 71.
Yeah.
Anyway, I look at it sort of separate from other works like of musical theater.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't follow the same type of structure. It's very repetitive.
Yeah, the structure. Well, we need to get into that. We need to dig into that.
I think the basis of it for me has to be the time, early 70s, the sort of the state of the world at that time, the movements, the hippie movement, like rock music coming into its own, sort of this whole idea of like rock screaming and
not just that, but like the idea of like a rock god, like the idea of that novel idea, which is so passé now, that like, oh my god, Jesus was the original rock star, which you could say that about a lot of charismatic figures for sure. So the problems that I have with the text, with the show itself, is that I have a lot of problems with how Andrew Lloyd Webber writes songs. On the one hand, he writes a damn good hook, and he writes really catchy songs. However, that can be great for a pop song on the radio for 3 minutes, but then when it's a 2.5-hour musical, it can get a little redundant for me and repetitive. And Jesus Christ Superstar was at the very beginning of his career. And so for me, there's a lot of just, and for the love of God, why won't he write a bridge? Why won't my king, I kept screaming at the TV, my kingdom for a bridge. And don't get me wrong, some of his songs have bridges, but like so much of Jesus Christ Superstar is just verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. And the other problem I've had with it is that because of the nature of the show, that it's this skrelty rock opera where everyone's like, "Wah!" the whole time. It's always been very hard for me. I've never been able to memorize Jesus Christ Superstar. because
Really?
I can memorize the choruses because they repeat over and over, but the verses, they don't stick in my head. There's nothing about them that sticks in my head. And it's because, well, I don't know why that is, but part of it is because I think Tim Rice didn't write very interesting lyrics.
Yeah.
And the ones that he did write that were, and again, he was young, like, I mean, he's no Sondheim. He's no Sondheim, but like, you know, he got better.
Yeah.
But like, there's very few lines that kind of stick in my head. Like, I think "Prove to me that you're no fool, walk across my swimming pool" is probably the best line in the show.
Wow. Interesting. That's your favorite show.
Because it's clever. It's because it's something Sondheim would write, because you have to know.
Yeah.
It takes a moment. You have to think about it. But this is my taste. If you like it, like, that doesn't mean you're wrong or bad. Obviously, you love it very much. It's just never. I'm not a religious person, although neither were really Angela Whipper and Tim Rice, frankly. But it's never like connected to my soul. But I've never done it. I've never been a rock singer, and also, you know, I've always been the kind of girl where if there's no substantial female parts, I can't really get sucked in.
You don't love Made by the Fire? The only other woman really written into the show is Made by the Fire.
God.
She has one line. It's terrible. It's not really well crafted as a story. It is a series of songs.
It's a concept album. That's the thing. It's like it's like how Tommy was a concept album, not a rock album, and like American Idiot, and then you take a show.
Like The Wall, you know, something like that. It's like, that doesn't mean it's going to be a good show.
So so that's some of our thoughts on the show itself. So now let's get into the Jesus Christ Superstar Live stuff, the NBC production that we just saw. The casting across the board, I think, was really spot on. Like, everyone in the ensemble had a unique look to them. Brandon Victor Dixon, my God. Amazing. Okay, first of all, I didn't realize, someone reminded me on Twitter that he was, so first of all, he's Burr. He's not the original Burr in Hamilton, but he took over.
Sure.
And he was playing Aaron Burr when Mike Pence went to see Hamilton, and then he gave that speech at the curtain call, and Trump got all about it. Like, so it's like Brandon Victor Dixon, yes. But then, I mean, God, he was so freaking good.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people play Judas. It's like the rock tenor sort of trial by fire. That's how you know.
Who was the original guy? Carl Lewis?
No.
I
should know. It's Carl.
And like, I'm so bad. This is how much I care about this show. It's like, I don't. So when you're talking about Judas's, you know, it's really hard to compare like Carl Anderson and like Ben Vereen. And I was worried, but good God. And I have to say, this was one of the first Judases where I could understand every single thing he was singing.
It just sat really well in his voice, which is rare. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this, because I've been in like this world for a while, like the musical theater world, but particularly the rock musical theater world, and the trial by fire of every rock tenor. Like I used to call myself a rock tenor, and then I saw some people shrout on Judas and Jesus, like stuff that I couldn't even believe they were hitting, like high D's, taking it out, and just full voice power. Yeah. But for him to be able to sing that score. Most people who sing Judas, you're screaming the whole time.
Screaming.
Where your face is contorted and you can't, you know, there's only so much more that you can give.
Yeah.
But for him to be calm and cool, as collected, and the breath support that he showed.
Oh my God.
He just sat so well.
He was in control of everything. He's a perfect example of what I want in a musical theater actor. Yeah. Because I feel like it's really easy for people to forget the theater when you're talking about musical theater. Like I teach musical theater rep and technique to high school students, and they'll get up to sing a song and they'll say, "Do you want me to act it while I sing?" And to me, that's like,
of course. Why would you?
It's musical theater. It's implied. It's inherent. You don't just get up there and sing. Even if you're just singing a song just in front. When are you not acting?
Yeah,
you're always acting.
You're always telling the story of the song.
So I thought he was phenomenal.
Well, and I would say he was so good in that aspect, and the fact that you brought up acting the song. The flip side, as Jesus, we have John Legend.
Okay, we're split on John Legend.
is.
And I feel like Twitter is split on John Legend right now.
He's a wonderful singer, but I could see a singer performing songs as opposed to an actor portraying a character on stage. In my particular opinion, that's what came across. Like, I enjoyed his performance.
Yeah.
And Gethsemane is a song that goes from 1 to 100, and there's all this nuance in between. And I've done that song, and it's very, very hard. But the connection between, in that case, Jesus and the Father, the God, in Gethsemane, his pleading, is what I was missing. There was a whole lot of subtext there that I was really missing from him in that song.
So I'm torn. I really am, because on the one hand, one of the things that has always kept Jesus Christ Superstar at bay for me is the fact that, like, I can't connect to anyone in the show because they're screaming all the time. The show starts at 11 and it stays at 11 the whole time.
Yeah.
I liked that John Legend came in and was like easing into it.
I like that too.
And cool, and I liked that he was kind of cool and zen. Yeah. Even when he was getting upset, he was still very just cool and zen, because I think that's just how he is. That's how he is as a guy. Like, I liked that in the first half, and I thought that was really cool, and I was digging it. And I really like his falsetto, actually. I like that he opted to falsetto sing instead of scream quite a lot.
I didn't like it.
I know you didn't like it, but I could understand what he was singing. It didn't sound like it hurt. Yeah. And it was suitable to his voice. Now, and I'm a big believer that if you're gonna do a musical like this again, a big musical like this on a big scale, why do we want to see the movie again? Yeah. Why do we want to see the Broadway version again? Right. Let's do something different with it. And they did. They really did.
True.
Now we get to, so I was like sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to reserve judgment for Gethsemane. I'm going to reserve. Now, on the one hand, Gethsemane is a hard song. And it's actually one of the few that I actually like in this show, in Jesus Christ Superstar. I've always liked Gethsemane. Yeah. Because that's when you get to see Jesus be a human.
Well, it starts from a very honest place, a very vulnerable place.
Yeah.
In the context of the story, he knows what needs to be done, and now he's, for the first time, faltering. Or maybe it's been lingering or coming upon him recently, but he's faltering in his belief that it's the right thing to do. And he doesn't think he can go through with it. I mean, it's the biggest struggle, and we can all relate to this. We all have these types of things in our lives. Like, and anytime you're acting a song, you're going to bring your own subtext to it. And I'm not saying that he needed to scream to the rafters. I understand what you mean about...
Well, I didn't get to my point yet. So the point I was making was that I was up to that, and then Gethsemane happened, and then I was kind of like, on the one hand, I liked that they altered some of the stuff to suit his voice. I don't like it. I don't think it's necessary for every actor to do everything in the same key. If you're right, or do the same thing that the actor before you did. I didn't need to have him screaming the whole time. Yeah. Changing it to suit his strengths is fine with me. Yeah. I don't need him to sound exactly like the original guy.
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like he's easing into acting like he's had his baby acting roles, and then playing like the lead in Jesus Christ Superstar is hard.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Because Jesus has to be the rock star, Judas should be the Broadway star. Like the guy who can act and sprout that stuff at the same time.
Yeah. Hopefully Jesus can also act while he's singing. That's the trouble with, again, I love John Legend. I really appreciate him. I loved the choice of casting him. And I agree with you how it was kind of cool to see in the beginning parts of the show where he's just more chill. And then we get to the points where he's going back and forth with Judas a little bit. But Gethsemane really needed more of that journey from him. I feel like I didn't see the conflict in
it. I feel like he did the best.
He can't just sing the song. I think he might have been a little under vocally. He was having a couple of vocal issues.
Well,
it's not an easy song to sing by any stretch.
I don't think he was having vocal issues. I think like he was screaming in the parts where you're supposed to scream, because that's... Part of
the trouble with the show is the pacing.
Yeah. So, Sarah Bareilles.
Fantastic. Amazing.
I mean, she's out of the 3 names.
Amazing.
She was the one with Broadway credits.
Yeah.
And I mean, she sounded great. I kind of hate the character of Mary Magdalene in Jesus Christ Superstar. She's just there to. She's just there to be for
She's
there
written
for him.
in the New Testament, so she has to be in the show, basically.
No, I I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I just don't. I don't love her songs.
There's nothing active about her character.
One of my most hated songs is "I Don't Know How to Love Him."
Yeah.
I hate that song, and she sounded great and made it pretty. So hey,
but she didn't.
If anyone can make me like "I Don't Know How to Love Him," it's Sarah Bareilles.
I'm not a big fan of that song either.
Yeah.
I've realized over the years, but she didn't just sing it though. She was
great.
It was simple. It was beautiful. It was passionate. It had all of the longing and yearning and confusion.
And then she disappears for 30 minutes. Like,
I just was so impressed by her performance. I'm a huge Sarah Bareilles fan. I have all of her albums. Well, now I listen to them on Spotify, of course. But I love Sarah Bareilles.
We know a lot of mutual people, a lot of friends who know her. And
I've always been out of town when they hang out, but when she did the first song, Everything's Alright, I'm like, she's perfect.
Yeah.
She's perfect in this. And then when I Don't Know How to Love It, it always kind of sneaks up on me. I'm like, oh yeah, here comes that song. Normally it's like, oh, let's everybody strap in.
Yeah.
But she was so good and so simple and honest and truthful. I just loved it. I loved her performance.
Who else did we have? Okay, Caiaphas and Annas. So that was Norm Lewis and Jin Ha. And Norm Lewis, I've been a big Norm Lewis fan for years. I love him. I love his Javert in the Les Mis, whatever that recent concert was. Like his Porgy, he's just. Just his, I want to swim in his voice. It's like butter. I just love him.
Oh, he's got a look too. He looks awesome.
Oh,
he was the perfect
beautiful.
choice for
Caiaphas. I love him. And then Jin Ha. I have never seen him before. Apparently he's been in Hamilton too, and apparently he's like a baby. He's like in his 20s.
He's a counter alto. He was sitting up here.
Oh, he was a counter. Yeah, a counter.
And effortless.
Oh my God. Like
Effortless.
he was so amazing. Like let's start giving that guy some work because he was really good.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Okay, so what did we think of Alice Cooper? I mean, it really was just like rolling out the old. I mean, he stood in one place. He sounded good. I mean, he sounded like Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
He was standing in one place.
He
had the girls. I loved those showgirls. I loved the trashy showgirls. And he stood in one place and sang it. I mean, he didn't really.
Honestly,
there was nothing like no nuance or anything or dance. I mean, he didn't move from his spot, but I didn't really expect him to.
I have to say, I liked how he spoke the first. Couple
he
of
did,
lines.
and I was like, "Is he gonna Rex Harrison this thing?"
And that was
talk?
surprising to me, but I
didn't mind it. I didn't mind it.
And
do something different. Come on, let's give us something other than verse chorus.
Well,
no bridge.
Normally, what happens in that song is Herod dances with the showgirls, and it's like this whole wacky, zany thing.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's not going to happen with Alice.
Yeah. As soon as you hear Alice Cooper's playing Herod, you're like, oh, so this is so he's going to be here for one song.
You can already imagine exactly.
Bone out, you know.
Like exactly what happened is what you would imagine.
He looked like a pumpkin.
And
like a jack-o'-lantern.
I will say that at 70, his voice is still there. I really enjoyed him. I want to talk about Pilate.
Pilate, his name is Ben Daniels, and he's, from what I can see, he is like the actor of the group. He looks to be British, maybe?
He was definitely acting the whole time. Very intense.
But again, like, I've never seen a Pilate who wasn't like that.
There is a thing that happens with Pilate, and I know this show, I've been around it a lot. You have to leave yourself some place to go.
You had matching gloves, pants, and shoes. And they had him kneel down, and that's when I noticed it, and I'm pretty sure they had him kneel just to show off that they were all the same color.
You gotta do it for the costume. Pilate has nuance. There's a lot of stuff initially in that scene where he's saying things like, well, what has he done? He's done nothing wrong. Oh, you Jews produce messiahs by the sackful. There's all this like lines where you can leave yourself a place to go. You don't have to start so intense.
Yeah.
It just fell flat toward the end because he ran out of gas.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Maybe I've just seen like high school and community theater productions, but like they just like scream from the moment they come on. They're like, oh, I'm the bad guy, but I'm conflicted.
Yeah, but I'm conflicted, but I'm the bad guy. It's very easy to look bad doing this show.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of pilots do that as well.
Yeah.
But when you see one who really sort of gives himself an arc and sort of plays other nuances other than this intense, passionate confusion, anger the whole time, it adds a lot to the scene and to the character. So I was missing that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So I liked the set design. I feel like With a rock opera, you can't go wrong with scaffolding.
It's all scaffolding all the time.
Having people climbing on it and looking over and like, you know.
It was funny.
The band was great.
Yeah.
The band was great. The design, the set design was great. That wall, and I mean, like that was pretty cool. When he was crucified and he floated up and the wall became a cross and then he disappeared through the wall. That was pretty cool. Like that, cool. I've never seen anything like that. No. Like watching him like kind of float away and disappear.
They did a beautiful thing with the lighting.
Yeah. I liked how they made the lashes like extreme.
Yeah.
Because the lashes can kind of be tedious.
He counts to
there's
39.
There's a lot of
39.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of tedium in this show.
And that's what I'm saying is you have to play against that as best you can.
Tell me what's happening, what's happening, until you die.
It's kind of true, but as I was saying, like whenever you're working on the show, if you're directing, if you're acting in it, you got to play against that as best you can, and then you'll find a place in the middle that works.
Yeah.
And I'll say about like you're talking about the scaffolding. Every time I've ever done this show, and many other musicals like it, scaffolding is your best friend.
It's your best friend. Yeah.
Always scaffolding.
I like how the Pharisees were like leather daddy Nazgul.
That was wild.
Like, what was that?
Yeah, that was a choice for sure.
Everyone in this, it was like hipster millennial city. Yeah. Everyone had a mohawk and a side shave.
And pretty much every time I've done this show, it's been the same. I've seen the same design every time, so there wasn't a huge departure in that element, in that respect, with this production.
Yeah.
But I did like what they did with the crowd that was different because sort of in reimagining, like if you're doing a live show for television, so it's all about the cameras. You don't have to have the audience in the normal place where they would be on a stage. It
was like half an alley or something because one side was the wall where they had the cross and where they crucified him. And then the audience, but then the audience was like angled. It was like an L. It was an L-shaped audience, which was interesting.
Traditional theater, it's either proscenium or a thrust or the round. And they kind of did this augmented weird combination.
It was weird. It was neat. It was making use of the medium. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing that the the NBC live musicals, like they kind of learned with each one. Yeah. You know, Sound of Music was very much like, this is a set, and there was no live audience. They didn't start adding that live audience until Hairspray. And Hairspray was obviously them trying to copy Grease Live, making it more cinematic on a set as opposed to a stage. And The Wiz was obviously on a stage, a proscenium stage with no audience, and that was one of the best ones they did. So this, they're taking it to the next level each time. John Legend was very much, going back to John Legend, I have to say, he was very much in the vein of the Carrie Underwood casting. Now, a lot of people hated Carrie Underwood as Maria von Trapp, but she was like a high school regional theater production, and that's what it felt like to me. And to me, it was like, that's not worth hating. That's just, why would you hate that? That's
a good way of looking at it.
It was fine. So that casting felt in the same vein of Carrie Underwood and John Legend. I think John Legend did miles better than Carrie Underwood. Yeah. I think he's a way better actor, and I think he's gonna become a better actor. I really do.
Acting for musical theater is very hard, especially, it is so hard to do this show with cameras this close on you. Because as I was saying before, I know when I did the show, I'm screaming to the rafters, my face looks horrible, I'm probably busting a blood vessel or whatever.
And maybe that's why they didn't do the squelting. Maybe that's why they made that choice.
I know, I would angle for that choice if it was me performing.
There's a reason why Jennifer Holliday looks the way she does when she's singing "And I'm Telling You." It's because you can't sing a song like that to the back row of the balcony and just be like, "And I am telling you." I think I'm a little more forgiving of his performance than you are, but I see where you're coming from. Like I think he'll get better, and I think it was a good. I don't think there's another like rock star or pop star nowadays who they could get who would be a better choice.
I don't think so. I think he was a great choice.
Ironically, the Broadway star, Brandon Victor Dixon, sounded more like an 80s hair metal god than any of them. Like, good God, his singing and in Jesus Christ Superstar, in this title song.
Yeah. Well, to me, Brandon Victor Dixon is everything that is amazing and everything that can be incredible about musical theater performance. And the guy who played Pilate is everything that can go wrong with it. when it's just
he's that community theater actor who just wants to prove that he can be a villain.
I am upset all the time.
I'm scenery, so
Don't let me stop your great self-destruction. That happens at the end. He was doing that at the beginning. And so by the time he got to that point, it was like...
Extreme lashes!
I mean...
So, I thought the ensemble was good. I thought the band was great. I don't know how I feel about the choreography.
It felt to me like all the other choreography I've ever seen do Superstar. It was very Superstar. A lot of hands. And I felt
fine.
I thought it was good. I mean, to me, it wasn't anything special, but it was good.
Yeah. I like that they. I really like that they tried to streamline it. It was 2.5 hours, which thank God, because remember when that Christmas Story Live garbage dumpster fire happened, and it was like 3 hours long, and I like that they didn't waste time being like, oh no, here's what's going on backstage. They had like a backstage cam, but it was just like playing in the corner during the commercials, so it didn't they didn't stop to be like, and now here's Brandon Victor Dixon. They kept it moving, which I like. Let's keep that. Keep it going, man. Let's keep that going.
I really liked how they showed backstage during the commercials. They did a little split screen. And
what did you think of Simon and Peter?
Simon, you'll get the power and the glory guy.
Shaved hair and
You'll get the power and the glory. I liked him.
Yeah.
I liked him.
I thought he was okay.
Just by the numbers, rock star dude. They even gave him a mic stand with the mic. That was basically it. And he had some cool high notes at the end. Yeah. A lot of times it feels like in shows like this, it's like, oh, it's my turn, let me do my riff kind of thing.
And
that's the way it works.
I always love the leper scene. See my face, it is falling off. Because that's
I'm a mass of blood.
Because that's the part when every ensemble member gets to have their moment. So they're all like, I'm gonna take this moment now.
And you gotta play against that. You gotta try to play against that, but it's hard.
No, you don't.
In a moment.
No, you don't. Those are the one-liners for the lepers. Let them have it.
The lepers need this.
Let them have it.
And also, it's nice to see, because this is obviously such a high-profile thing. These people get that moment because they're all obviously awesome singers. And
so if you like Jesus Christ Superstar, you'll probably like this. If you're like really, really obsessed with the movie version or the original Broadway version, you'll probably have more to nitpick, just because they do make changes. But I think adaptation is important and necessary, and we don't need to see the same version of a musical every single time. Yeah. And I feel like the choices they made paid off. Yeah. Most of them.
Yeah, I agree.
And I enjoyed it. For someone who doesn't really love Angela Weber or Jesus Christ Superstar, I thought it was one of the best.
Like me, as I said, I know every word of the show, so like I can't, I don't really know how I would feel if I didn't know the show at all. Like if I was coming into it completely blind, I don't know how I would have felt about it.
Yeah.
But knowing the show.
If you, let us know. If you, are seeing this totally blind, let us know what you thought of it. Yeah. So thanks so much for listening to our thoughts. And check out Jesus Christ Superstar Live if you haven't seen it yet.
Sarah Bareilles, amazing.
Brandon Victor Dixon,
amazing.
You are our Jesus.
And who is Caiaphas? What's that guy's name?
Norm Lewis.
Amazing, dude.
Yes, you is my woman now.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks for coming, and keep checking back for more Steel and Focus stuff. I am going to see Love Never Dies next week. I will have thoughts.
Sarah Bareilles.